Hello and thank you for tuning in. In this video we're going to be exploring how to set up your army and how to move them around the battlefield. So we're going to be looking at how to group your troops and different ways of selecting them and moving them around. So I've just created a custom battle here against the AI. You'll see when I start the battle in a few minutes that there's only going to be 2 units that we're up against. So that's not the purpose of this, it is more so you can see how to group your units and how to move them around and whatnot. So when you're in the formation stage, or the setting out your formation stage, your armies all glob together like this. There's different ways of selecting your army first of all. So you can drag a box around them, select them all, or you could press Control and A, that would also select them all, and you can just move them around as they are. But you'll see they don't keep any sort of formation, they just move around in any old order. You might want that, you probably don't if I'm honest. Why would you want your archers, for example, completely exposed? So that's one way. You can individually click on a unit and just move them around. And also you can click on their unit card as well and move them around as well. So very good for micromanaging individual units, certainly in the heat of the battle if you want a particular unit to go and attack a particular enemy unit, but not very good in terms of getting an overall good army formation. So what are the ways, or what are the things can we do to select units? So we can select multiple units at once. So we can do this by holding down the Control button and selecting the units that we want. So here you'll see it's selected all 4 of these spearmen units here, and we can move them around. See, it's going to put them in a nice line, and that's really good. So we can put them wherever we want to. We can do the same with the archers. So I'm holding down Control, just selecting them, and now you see we'll move them all at once. What you could also do if you want to select a different way of selecting a group of troops is hold down the Shift key and select the first unit that you want and move all the way to the end. So we'll select all of these 8 units, and you'll see we've selected them all. But once you move them around, they lose the formation. So there are ways of maintaining that formation which we will have a look at now, and that involves putting them in a group. So once again we need to select the troops we want in a group.
It shall be done.
So we want these guys, and the easiest way to do it is hit G, and you'll see now that's put them all into group 1. Now at the moment their formation is not locked, so when we come to move them around the battlefield in a bit, they won't move as like a wall of spears, for example. You can toggle lock group just by hitting here. See, it's now locked, and then it's unlocked, and we'll show you the difference that makes as we start the battle in a second. So that's really useful for moving you guys around, as you can see. What locked actually will do, if you read it, if you read the tooltip, let's get it up again. So lock groups preserve the relative positions and facing of their units from the point at which the group was created. So that means if we lock it, now these guys will always stay in this sort of 4 abreast formation. If they were set into a square, they would stay in a square, and so on and so forth. So it's a really good way, selecting your units, getting it grouped up. So I'm just going to select these archers, press G, put them in a group, so now I can move them around, and we'll lock their formation. And we'll get our war machines, so we'll select both of those, and once again they're in a group. So grouping is also really good if you wanted to, for example, use get all of your archers to fire on one individual target, rather than clicking on each unit and then select that one, select the enemy unit, that one, the enemy unit, and so on. Just select your group. So you notice they've all got a number. So if I push 1, it's selected group 1, which is our spearmen. 2 is our archers, and 3 is our bolt throwers here. You can have lots and lots of groups, as many as you need. I tend to at least have my front line, which is these guys, as a group. Archers tend to have them as a group, and also war machines as a group as well. And we have got some cavalry over here, so you might want to group those. So drag and drop, hit G, they're now a group 4, and so on and so forth. So really useful little tip there. Let's get everybody lined up. So that's a very basic army formation. We've got a wall of spearmen who are going to be our front line, archers behind, arty at the back, and we've got some cavalry on one flank. So this isn't a real battle, so to speak, so we're not too bothered about the formation itself. It's more of how to group your guys together. So we'll start the battle and we'll show you just moving them around the map. So, oh, these guys are charging, so this is going to be a very quick battle. So you can select a unit on its own, right click where you want them,
As you say.
once again, and they will move to wherever you've selected. You could select your whole army. Once again, you could draw a box around them, or you could control A
Orders received.
and select where you want them. So that creates a big mess of where they're all going to go. They'll all huddle up. Not that useful, if I'm honest. That particular one, as you can see, that is an absolute mess. You can also drag them, move them into a formation. So with them all selected, hold right click and you'll see the yellow boxes that it's drawn up. So when I let go, that is how they're all going to form up. Once again, it's going to be an absolutely terrible formation. But it's just to show you the different things that you can do. If you're getting a bit confused as to who's going where, if you hold down the spacebar, once again, this is a bit of a mess right now, but it's going to show you which units are going where and where their destination is. So that's a way of moving your guys around. So another way of moving your guys in formation would be just to select your group number and move them up. And you'll see, because we've got them in a locked group, they are all moving just forward in a straight line. So we've just formed up an army again, just into the groups, and I want to see how they move differently. So here, I've got them in an unlocked group, and I've selected my spearmen, and we're just going to send them to attack this Stegodon over here. So you'll see from their arrows that they're all just going to mob, and they're all going to just congregate, shall we say, all on this guy. They're going to get in each other's way. Not very useful at all if you just want to move up a line of units into a straight line. So I'm just going to pull them back. So what we'll do is we will restart that and we'll show you how they will move with in a locked group, or a way of moving them up all together so they just move in a straight line rather. We get our spearmen, we group them in, should come over here. We're going to lock the group. So now when we select them, see their arrows are different. So although we've selected the unit, because they're going to keep the formation, they're now all going to move up in a wall. So that can be very useful if you want to move your front line of troops up against the enemy front line. So you can see they're keeping the formation, they're all moving really, really nicely. So we're going to just restart the battle again and show you some other ways of moving your units around in groups. So very quickly, once again, I'm using shift and I'm going to the end, pressing G, and put them in a locked group. I'll do the same with the archers. Oops.
Orders received.
Hit G, lock group, move them here, and we'll start the battle. So here's another way of moving your guys around. So I'm going to select the spearmen.
Understood.
And before I issue any orders, I'm going to hold down the Alt key. I'm going to mouse over one of my units and left click. And now when I move, you'll see that we can move them around anywhere we want, and they will. That's the formation they're going to keep. The yellow marks on the ground is the formation they're going to maintain. What you can also do with this group of units, so once again we'll just stop them.
Halt.
We're going to select the group, so we press 1, hold down Alt, and we're going to left click over the unit. If you now, while still holding the left mouse button and Alt, hold down the control key as well, you can pivot them. So if you're at a bad angle to your enemy, I'm just going to turn them so they're facing away from the enemy in this example. But if you're in a bad position, if you're being flanked and you want to move a load of troops quite quickly, That's a really, really fantastic way. So once again, that was selecting the group, holding down the Alt key, mouse over one of your units in the group, and hold the left mouse button down, and then whilst holding control, gives you that little pivot as well. So I'll show you that on the screen. Holding down Alt, so you get the block, and then hold down control. When you're happy with where they are, let go, and off they go.
Draw back.
So we'll show you that with 2 groups, just to show you that you can do it with more. You can do it with your whole army if you want, if you've got the whole formation. You can move your entire army up, you can pivot them so that they're facing where you want them to face. So once again, we're going to select our groups. So holding down Shift,
Spearmen.
and press G, and we'll lock that group. And you can toggle that so it's default to locked or not.
Loyal.
Holding down Shift and just going across the units we want. We'll lock that.
Acknowledged.
So there we've got our 8 units all together.
Spearmen.
So with this, I'm going to mouse over
For
them,
duty.
hold down Alt, just go over any of the units, it doesn't matter which, and now you'll see the cursor's changed to that sort of compass kind of thing, the arrows. Now when we move, all of the 8 units are going to move. So we'll let
We
go,
will obey.
and they're going to move up in formation, which is really, really handy. Let's stop the marching. Likewise, we can pivot the which way they're facing, so we've selected the units we want. And hold down Alt, and mouse over one of the units we want, and then press Control as well whilst they're moving the buttons. As you can see, we get this nice pivot.
Orders
So
received.
I'm just going to stop my guys firing, if not we're going to batter everybody.
It will be done.
Trying, so you see everyone's moving around, keeping that nice formation that we want. And you can do that with, obviously the formation itself is entirely up to you. We're not really looking at formations in this video, just different ways of moving your army around. We'll go ahead and restart. So we've looked at moving, putting your guys into groups and moving them as a group or multiple groups and keeping their formation. One final little thing we're going to look at in this video is
It will be done.
how to draw sort of a more intricate route. So to begin with, like you've seen, use cavalry because that's probably what it's more useful for. Click anywhere on the map and off they'll go to that spot, or will go and attack. So these guys aren't in a group at the moment. But what you can do is you can issue a more complicated route for them to go on. So to do that, if you select the unit that you want, hold down the Shift key, you'll notice that little zigzag has appeared beneath the cursor. Hopefully you can see that. So now we can actually do a free-form route.
Move.
Oops, done it wrong. So you could. So I'm holding down the right mouse key.
Quickly now.
Now I've let go of everything, and they should follow that. Obviously, in this instance, completely and utterly useless route. You'll see if you watch them now. They should literally. I'm just going to stop all my guys firing.
Dragon princes. Without fail.
As we'll win the battle before we've done this example. Let's zoom in on them. These guys are off on their nice random walk. Once again, like we said before, holding down spacebar shows the route that they're going to take. So they are going to ultimately end up in this rather crap formation, for want of a phrase, but the important thing here is just highlighting that they're going to show the route that they're going to take. Now that can be useful with cavalry, for example, if you want to flank. So let's say we've got the bulk of the army is over here and we want these boys to flank. Select them, hold down Shift, and you could literally send them on a journey all the way around to the back of the army and take up position behind them. You can combine that with an attack order as well, so we'll leave those boys doing what they're doing. So what you can also do, we just before we sent our cavalry away on just a random journey, what you can also do is you can end that random journey with an attack order. So that could be really useful. Let's say, for example, we've got our armies engaged here, you want to get around the back, or you want to flank something, or you want to go and attack the artillery at the back. You can also do that. So to do that, we're going to select the unit we want. So we're going to use the cavalry, hold down shift, and we're going to draw the route 2, and you'll see it's ended with a sword. The cursor has changed to a sword. So we'll let go. Oh, I did that wrong.
Halt!
So now, these guys are going to follow that route, and they're going to end up attacking. Rather than just directly charging towards them, they're going to they're going to go around the sides. They're going to go around the flanks. To stop all my missile guys from attacking.
As you say.
These guys. In fact, we'll zoom in. We'll see them in action. As you can see, following that route, we're going around the side. We're starting to turn now. Turn a bit quicker, boys. There we go. And then if the unit I've selected is still alive, they should get stuck in. Now the reason why they haven't engaged that unit is because that unit is moved, which isn't very good. Off they go now. Begin their charge. Let's watch this. So hopefully that's a nice little useful tip for some of your flanking manoeuvres. This boy's going to get ready. Now, these boys aren't going to be particularly good against these units. That's not the point of this. It's just to show you how to move you guys around in some different ways. Oh, we got caught. We were meant to charge the unit, but we got intercepted by this guy who was trying to run away, so we're going to make his life even worse. But once again, hopefully that's quite a nice, useful little tip. And to finish, we're going to show you just how you can move your whole army in a formation. So we're just going to restart this. And once again, we'll go through all the bits and pieces that we've discussed. So we're going to put our guys into groups. So I'm going to hold down shift to select the first unit. Keep holding shift until I get to the other unit that I want.
It will be done.
Press G to put them in a group, and I'm going to lock it off, and I'm going to leave them there. So next, I'm going to get my archers in a group, so I'm going to hold down shift. So first archer group, holding shift still for the last one, press G, and I'm going to put them behind the spearmen. I'm going to select my bolt throwers.
Eagle claw.
Press G,
It shall be done.
put them back.
Understood.
I'm going to put my cavalry in a group as well, so holding down shift, but you could hold down control as well, to select individual units like we said. G, put them to the side. And I don't tend to put my heroes in groups unless I'm controlling sort of big armies or I want someone to bodyguard someone else, but can be useful. So, in this instance, I want to move my entire army, and I want to keep them in formation. So I'm going to control an A, or you could drag and drop.
We will obey.
I'm going to mouse over one unit and hold down Alt. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to move them all back. So you can see the formation that I've selected is they're going to move and they're going to maintain that formation. So I'm going to let go, and they're all going to move. Once again, holding down spacebar shows you where everyone's going to move. It is a bit confusing this, so you can turn different things on and off on the right hand side here to make it a little bit less of a sensory overload. I'm just going to fast forward it so you can see everyone forming up. So everyone's pretty much in formation now, just the spears to get into place. So I'm just going to move my spear boys. Oh, I selected one unit by accident.
Asura, forward.
I don't know why I'm doing that, it's like I'm fighting a real battle. Doesn't really matter. Once again, if I wanted to select my whole army and pivot them, so Control and A, hold down Alt, and I'm going to left click over one unit, and keep the left mouse button held down as long as the Alt key. Now I'm going to hold Control, and I can pivot them around that axis. So I'm going to release Control, I can move them over here, and then hold that Control again, Once I'm happy with where the army's going to move to,
As
we'll
you
let go of
say.
everything, and everyone's going to move over. And they will end up in the same formation. Now, it can get a bit messy when you're doing a whole big move like that, but
Draw
once
back.
again, if I just restart... Okay, so in this example, we've got a rough formation. It's not a particularly great one, but it's just to highlight moving your whole army forward as well in a straight line. So we're just going to select them all.
Spearmen.
So this is the last time I'm going to do this. I know we've done it a bit, but it took me quite a while just to get my head around the combination of buttons. So selected everybody. We're going to hold down Alt, and we're going to mouse over one unit that's highlighted and hold down the left mouse button. So here, we're going to move our whole army in formation to meet the enemy. So I'm just going to move them up. I'm happy with which way they're facing. Once again, to remind you, you could hold down Control as well and pivot them, but I don't want to do that. I'll let go. Everyone's going to move up nicely in formation so that we're not going to get overrun. Obviously, we're not going to get overrun here, but if it was a real army and a real battle, that could happen. So once again, we're not really talking tactics in this. We're not talking about ways of setting up your army, just ways of moving them around. So that's it. So that's some basics of moving your guys around on the battlefield. I hope you found it useful. Hopefully it will make your games a bit more enjoyable, so that your armies can keep the formations. You're not going to get massively outflanked in different battles. If you like what you've seen, please subscribe, give us a thumbs up, all that usual good stuff. If you don't like it, give us a thumbs down. Please say why, because I'd like to just get better at this sort of thing. So thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.